WIIFTV PM. WIIFTV PM. WIIFTV PM. WIIFTV PM. WIIFTV PM. WIFTBPM.
Introducing your trusted source for high-quality Black emojis, better known as Blackmoji. We believe Black is beautiful, and that beauty should be reflected in the digital market. Now there is an app that does just that, starting with Black Greek letter organizations. Blackmoji D9 offers more than an emoji app. It is a cultural experience of Black excellence. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to access a specially curated catalog of emojis representing the Divine Nine. Use the emojis to celebrate Black Greek events, acknowledge current events, support social causes, and learn about esteemed Black Greek members who blaze the trail of Black history. A portion of every subscription goes toward a scholarship fund specifically for members of Black Greek letter organizations to help keep the legacy alive. Download the Blackmoji app today.
Shop at Black-owned and operated Solo Beauty, where you are appreciated and respected. Located at 8158 South Cottage Grove, Solo Beauty can supply all of your Black hair care needs. Solo Beauty is open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., Tuesday through Saturday, or you can find them online at solobeauty.com.
Funeral expenses are costly. The Casket Store wants to help you save hundreds of dollars. You do not have to purchase a casket from the funeral home. Call now for a free in-home consultation. Call 773-445-6900. 773-445-6900.
Hi, I'm Dr. Willie Wilson, and I'm running for U.S. Senate for the state of Illinois. I will never give up on inclusion and equality, prison reform, reduce property taxes, and economic opportunity for all. I want to get to know your neighborhood and the problem that you face every day. And I want to serve every man, woman, and child in the state of Illinois. A vote for me is a vote for you.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for Senate 2020.
WIFTBPM.
Live from What's in It for the Black Media Studio. You're listening to I Said What I Said.
Wait, what did you say?
I said you're listening to I Said What I Said.
I just said that.
I know you just said that.
That's what I just said.
That's what I'm saying to you.
Exactly what he just said.
With Herb Howard and Toussaint Werner.
That's about one of the nicest things you ever said.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
WIFTBPM.
Great afternoon to you wonderful people. Welcome to this Wednesday edition of I Said What I Said, each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on What's in It for the Black People Media Studios. Myself, Herb Howard, and my esteemed co-host, the one and only Toussaint Werner. We get together right here with you and we discuss issues that are impacting the Black community, how those things impact us as individuals, but also how they impact us as a collective. And along with your help, we talk through many of these issues in hopes of finding the optimum solutions for how we can overcome those things. Again, overcome them as individuals, but more importantly, overcome them as a collective. Thank you all so much for choosing to be a part of this conversation. As always, your input is valued. It is certainly appreciated. Anything you want to add to the conversation as we go through, feel free to leave through your comments. We will read through as many of them as possible. Also, please take a quick moment to share the conversation. Please take a quick moment to share it. Share it on your personal page. Share it even within your personal network. Anyone that you think would either find value in or add value to this particular conversation, we welcome them to be a part of it. It is our sincerest belief that the more like-minded individuals that we can get to be a part of the conversation, the better opportunity we have of finding the best solutions going forward. And again, when I say like-minded, I don't mean that we always agree. We disagree all the time, but it's about being aware that there are some issues in our community and being actively engaged in overcoming many of those issues. So again, this is I Said What I Said. This is intellectual thuggery at its finest. We think this is the blackest conversation in America. My name is Herb. His name is Two. What's happening, good brother?
What down, family? What's good?
Ain't nothing to it, man. Feeling pretty good today. Didn't get a whole lot of rest last night for whatever reason. One of the nights we just kind of just up, watching random shit, flicking through the channels, fucking with your phone, just random. I was up all night. Finally, I went to sleep at like 5:30 45 because I knew Mays was coming on. I felt like that's a good time to go to sleep.
I get it.
Nah. But other than that, man, I'm feeling really, really good. Really excited about today's show. Got the cameras up already so you guys can kind of see. I'm sure you might recognize both of these brothers that are in the studio with us. To my left is two-time NBA champion, former Chicago Bull, one of these smoothest, purest shooters that the NBA has ever seen. His name is Craig Hodges.
Top
Craig,
3 for sure.
How you feeling?
I'm doing fine, brothers. I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to the folks. It's a blessing and opportunity, and I, just thank God that you guys put this together like this, man. I'm looking forward to working with you further.
Listen, it's our absolute pleasure to have you here in studio. Thank you so much for taking the time. I briefly touched on maybe the smallest piece of who you are and who you've become in terms of what you mean to the community. Being a basketball player, you used your platform to raise awareness to racial injustice and social issues at a time when it's not popular now, but it really, really wasn't popular then. Right. And you put some skin in the game, and it cost you. No right? question. But you made that decision anyway, and so much more than I'm from Chicago. I'm born and raised here, so I grew up on the championships, and I look back on those times fondly. But more so than your contributions to those championship teams, I appreciate your contribution to the black community as a whole.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, and that's for me. That's those kudos, man. Those are the type of things for me. It's just a blessing from knowing how I was raised. My mom was part of the civil rights movement, so as a baby, I grew up under it. And having a chance to go away to Long Beach State with Tex Winter on a basketball scholarship and get to study under Dr. Maulana Karinga, Dr. Khalid Muhammad. So I was blessed to have great mentorship during the years that, where you're trying to find what your passion is. I understood what the basketball was, but my father was the mayor of Ford Heights, so I wanted to come back and do the politics thing. But when I got to Long Beach State, I was going to study political science. But when I got there, I found out how racist the program was. Mm-hmm. And the brothers brought me over into black studies, and it's been on ever since.
Well, we greatly appreciate it. Looking forward to hopping into that conversation a little bit further as we go through. Also joining us live in the studio, joining me in this here camera right here, I told you that Craig Hodges was probably one of the smoothest shooters. Not probably, there's no doubt about it. He's one of the smoothest, pure shooters the NBA has ever seen. Sitting next to me is one of the smoothest rappers that hip hop has ever seen. Man, when you hit the scene, it was a sound that hadn't really heard before, because there was a time when everybody was just trying to come as hard as they could come, as rugged as they could come. And everybody was feeling that. It was good. New York had the game on lock, and it was just like all this rugged shit. And you came and it was like, who is this dude that's like smoothing it out over the track? still talking the same shit, but like smooth as hell, brother. Loon is in the studio with us. Loon, how you feeling, man?
Pleasure. I mean, I just came home from doing, almost 9 years in the federal prison system. And, my life has definitely, I've been through many transitions.
Yes, sir.
And to get to this point at this particular time and to be able to contribute to affecting change has been definitely, without words. Words can't explain the timing, how perfect it is to get to this point in my life and to be able to be a part of, this movement to correct injustices. As a Muslim, it's an obligation for us to enjoin what's good and forbid what's evil.
Yes, sir.
So this becomes a very nonpartisan position. It just means that it's not just obligatory for us, it's obligatory for every man. Mm-hmm. That when you see an evil, you should try to change it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We shouldn't sit around. And I think that we may have contributed to failing this generation and implementing that. So now to be here now and have the opportunity to do that, and have no vices, nothing in the way. I'm no longer in the music business. I don't have the distraction of that. Yeah. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I haven't listened to music in 12 years. So it's like I really don't have no vices. So I'm fully dedicated. My passion is sincere, and I just want to be able to benefit the people as much as I can.
Man, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Just as I said, I've had so many fond memories looking back on those Bulls championship years and growing up in Chicago. Man. I was bad boy crazy growing up. Like around that time, like y'all had the thing on lock. Big came through and the locks and you and Mason. It was like it was crazy. It was bad boy everything. It was like fuck that bro. Like fuck them niggas. I would have been down for the fight and shit for no reason at all. I ain't got shit to do with it. But bad boy, right? I was all about it, man. What y'all did in that particular time in music is historic, It's something that will be remembered in music forever, and your contribution to the hip hop culture is cemented, man. If you never ever decide to hop on another track ever again, your legacy is cemented, man. So I commend you, and I wanted to let you know that I'm a little excited. I don't want to say I'm like, because we so close, I can't say I'm real excited, but I'm a little excited that you're here.
I was about to tell me, I still kind of just came home. So let's not get too excited.
Don't get him started, man. Please don't let it slide. Please don't get too started.
I'm just saying, I gotta put my disclaimer out.
Don't get too started on his.
There is a certain, social distancing before COVID.
Right.
When the excitement comes into play, it has to be from a specific distance.
That's real spill.
Let's not get too excited.
That's look, real quick, man. But first of all, I want to thank both of you all for coming in, right?
Yes, sir.
But I was thinking the other night, like, how do we mend these conversations, right? How do we mend the conversation between Craig and Loon? And I know Craig's story a little bit just because I'm a Chicago boy too, and I'm a huge basketball fan. I didn't so much know Loon's story in the same way. So last night I did a little bit of research, and I just thought about it. First of all, let me center the conversation, right? This is what's in it for the Black People Media. So everything we talk about here is black on black. Right? And one of the monikers of our show, we open up usually with this quote from Neely Fuller, right? And the quote says, until you fully understand white supremacy, everything it is, how it works and how it operates, everything you think you understand will only confuse you.
Teach.
Facts. Right? Ooh. And we also talk about another one of our monikers is, but can you beat my ass though?
Because that's the prevailing question of mankind.
Of masculinity, right? So we stand on masculinity and we stand on blackness specifically in this show and in this station, right? And when I think about it, that takes a heap of sacrifice to live in that kind of an energy. You know what I mean? So what Craig did with delivering a letter to the president at the time took tremendous levels of courage, took tremendous levels of sacrifice.
For real.
And when I was doing some research on Loon last night, man, I was checking out your story when you said when you was overseas essentially, when they charged you and you was like for 2 years, you know what I mean, before anything really hit you, and it was a conspiracy case, right? And really, I ain't catch you doing shit.
I hate the conspiracy game. I hate RICO, all that shit.
It's insane. I know a little bit about it because I used to dibble and dabble in stupid shit too. But I ended up getting in trouble young, having to move to Cedar Rapids, Iowa with my uncle. He had just came home for a conspiracy charge, which kind of curtailed my movements in the streets too because I started to understand, like, wait, they ain't catch you doing shit? Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Right. But tell us a little bit about that story about how you got extradited from, I think you said you was Belgium.
I was in Belgium. Wow. I mean, basically, just to generalize the situation so everyone can understand, and this is actually contributes to the lack of knowledge that we have. You know what I'm saying? Even those who choose the street as their lifestyle by default or choice, you know what I'm saying, is incumbent upon you to educate yourself in any and everything that you're doing. So for me, this was a nuance, you know what I'm saying, because I had left the streets, I had left the music business, I had left all of the things that contribute to any, path that leads to gradual destruction.
Right.
So I had left, moved to Egypt. I was studying at Al-Azhar University in Cairo, you know what I'm saying. I was pretty much engulfed in, learning my religion. So I read, write, speak Arabic, and I was able to increase in that light. And at the same time, I was giving talks. So I was a motivational speaker, you know what I'm saying, basically speaking to not just the Muslim youth, but the non-Muslim youth as well, about the effect that our culture has on the whole world.
Teach.
Because a lot of people don't understand that, because we still kind of stuck in this box. If you look at every artist today, they want to be hot where they from.
Yeah.
They never fathom in their mind that this stuff would just go all the way to Europe.
Cross oceans.
You have
an
Arab in Saudi Arabia dancing to your stuff and so on and so forth. So we definitely have a very impactful culture.
Teach.
You know what I'm saying? African American. So this was the motivation for me giving these speeches and talking about, my trend, me reverting to Islam and abandoning everything that contradicted that choice. So to end up in Belgium, which I was supposed to give a talk at a very prestigious university there, and I got apprehended by Interpol, which is the international police.
Right.
So we dread the feds.
Interpol is the next level.
Yeah, we're talking about the international police.
Belgium is NATO too, right?
Yeah, NATO headquarters, absolutely. And that's the funny thing, because of my indictment was maybe I had traveled to 10 different countries and never got flagged. but I was actually traveling the country not knowing that they didn't have an extradition convention or they didn't honor conspiracy. So I'm going to places like, you know,
where it was
Kuwait,
sweet for you to
Saudi
go.
Arabia, Jordan, Malaysia, so on and so forth. I went to Australia for like a month. Never had any problems. Soon as I landed in Belgium,
it got flagged.
I got flagged. And I was told that I had an indictment in the Eastern District of North Carolina in the city of Durham, a city I never been to.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? So then, you know, this experience started to actually seem significant until I entered the federal prison system and I seen that everyone shared this story. So I thought there was some uniqueness to my situation. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else from the outside thought, okay, cool, this guy's out here making waves, talking and stuff like that. Maybe the government or somebody wanted to shut him up. That's something to consider. And then you're also looking at, okay, cool, this guy here, you know, he had prior, you know, involvement or affiliation with things that probably led to this. And that's actually was the defining factor, is that I had 2 prior felonies. So bringing me back, you know, stateside, and I'm looking at going to trial because I'm innocent. I never sold no heroin a day in my life. You know what I'm saying? I've done a lot of things, you know what I'm saying? But that was one I never did. And on top of that, I didn't even know, you know what I'm saying, none of these individuals in the conspiracy.
You didn't know none of the co-conspirators?
So one guy.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? I knew him, I introduced him to somebody, and I was out the way. So it's simple like, yo, okay, 2, that's you. Yo, y'all straight?
Y'all good?
Y'all got everything? Y'all, okay, I'm out.
You got this, he need that?
That's
y'all talk.
You know what I'm saying? So anything that transpired from that part, I mean, from that introduction had nothing to do with me.
Right.
But what's common, which I thought was rare, because I grew up in a time when, you know, that was kind of a no-no. You know what I'm saying? Telling, snitching, whatever the case may be, it was a no-no. So I never anticipated that minor or minuscule involvement coming back to haunt me. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm stateside, I'm trying to go to trial, I'm fighting for like 2 years. I was in Belgium for 6 months. I went all the way up to the Supreme Court in Belgium trying to fight my extradition rights. And when I got to the United States, you know, I was about to be released to fight the case from the street, facing just 10 years to life. So I remember the prosecutor leaned over, told my lawyer, if he doesn't waive this detention hearing, I'm gonna file 2 851 enhancements against him.
Which are
the case, the charges, cell charges, charges 10 to life.
Right.
With the 2 priors, the first enhancement goes to 20 to life, and then the second goes to mandatory life.
Right.
So now I'm looking at, okay, cool. I'm faced with 10 years with the hope for daylight.
Right.
Or no daylight whatsoever.
That's a question I want to pose to you, man. I hear that a lot from people, you know, returning citizens. They come home and they have these interviews or whatever, and people are like, well, did you ever think of just taking it to trial? Like, yeah, I thought about it, but them motherfuckers said 100 years, right?
Yeah,
and I got kids. I have a life. I breathe. I want to get back outside, right? And so if I think that, especially talking about Fed cases, right? What they like 97% conviction rate,
and that goes back to what he was saying about. I did a little research on loan.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I did a little research on the feds. Right. So if you got a 97% conviction rate,
I only got 3% chance of not doing life in this motherfucker.
3% chance. Yes.
I'm gonna take the 9. I'm gonna take the 10.
Then you got co-conspirators you don't even know.
Right.
So whatever story they fabricate,
right.
You know what I'm saying, alongside with the prosecutor, aiding the system and all this, then the jury of your peers. I was in Wilmington, North Carolina.
They came and got you from Belgium.
Right.
They wasn't letting you go home.
Wilmington.
They came and got you from Belgium.
So
they not letting you go home.
About Wilmington. I mean, your peers is going to be like the Golden Girls.
Exactly.
It's going to be some elderly people sitting up there ready to judge and critique you based on what's presented.
You finna do that.
These are not my peers.
Exactly. You finna do that 100, bro.
Huh?
You finna do that 100.
You finna do that.
You finna do that 100.
Yeah, no, it's life.
Yeah.
There's no number involved.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just 100. I mean, it's just life. So based on that, you know what I mean, I had to take the plea.
Yes.
So I pled out to a 14-year sentence without having no involvement, not made a single currency or anything out of this conspiracy.
Sure.
You know. Now the thing is, I thought my case was unique until I entered the federal prison system and started to hear stories similar to mine, not in the same capacity.
Sure.
Because the only thing that makes mine like a movie is I got arrested in Belgium.
And you fucking loon. That part too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that adds a dynamic. But the reality of it is the consistency of this situation is happening to a guy who never had $10,000 in his pocket at one setting. maybe not even 15, 20,000 as a whole. I mean, he probably been hustling on the corner summer after summer. And if you asked him to go show some liquid, he probably only got 20 bands. But he's getting charged as a leader. He's getting leadership charges. They're stacking the deck against this kid. You know what I'm saying?
That's
who
real.
Has no choice if he wants to even try to revisit, you know what I'm saying, his youth 10, 20, 30 years from now.
That's why they got 97%, because they stack you up against insurmountable odds, and then your best way forward is to be like, okay.
Yeah, I did.
So now I'm realizing there's no uniqueness to my situation. This is something that is happening, and this is what's warehousing. This is how they are warehousing, you know what I'm saying, young African-American men, young Spanish and Latino men, you know what I'm saying, and they're warehousing them. They're putting them in, I mean, situations where the defining factor of your decision-making process is going to be, I still want to return to society. So with that being the factor, and the only option you have is to lay down and accept this injustice, to accept this chunk of my life you're trying to take away from me for something that's extremely minuscule.
Craig, let me ask you: is it the fact that you hear Loon talk about as crazy as his story is, and it is crazy, it's not irregular, right? And the normalcy that comes along with it, is that why you was like, listen, while I have this platform, I got to speak up about these things because it's happening. It's not just happening to Loon. It's not just happening to me or you. It's happening all across this country to black people everywhere. I got to do something about it.
No question. And for me, during the Rodney King, when that jumped off, it was, to me, some of the brothers in the locker room would be like, we all talking about it, but when it came public, no one would speak to it. And my issue was that, we saw it. It wasn't a thing that you didn't see. It was, there it is right in front of you. So how can you not have an opinion? You need to know. What more do you need to know? If you Michael Jordan or Scotty, what do you need to know? It's about us standing. That could be any one of us. That could be any one of our children. So we have to make sure, like Loon said, that to some degree we didn't do what we were supposed to, and as far as the next generation realizing the sacrifices of our elders and our ancestors, and that any of us, wherever we're at, in whatever state we are in life, it was them who put us in a position to be able to articulate our position, to be able to play a game, to be able to sing, or to be able to dance. And where we are right now, I feel like Loon, is that, we at that point in time where we really have the opportunity to really do some things. But what has happened is that we haven't been able to produce jobs, an economic vehicle that our people can get onto. So right now I'm working with my boy Calvin Jarrett from B Manufacturing, so that when brothers do get out, we're able to put them into jobs. We're able to give them an opportunity that is realistic. You know what I'm saying? So when I look back at the position that I took, it wasn't, people thought, oh man, that took so much courage. Man, it's a word. It's just speaking on something. And for me, I look at, you 7 foot Shaquille O'Neal, we going to the rack and you knocking me down. That's cool, but man, let's just speak on something, and just to stand on a principle that is, it's been founded to be right and exact. So how can you not?
Yes, sir.
So I don't want to minimize that as not being courageous. It's absolutely courageous. There's another conversation that we have in this studio too, where we say, as a black man in America, to become successful at some level, you have to capitulate, right?
No question.
And it's interesting that we got both y'all brothers in the room, and Craig mentioned the economic factors in our community, and Loon mentioned spirituality. And these are two conversations that we keep having in here.
No doubt.
Right? So I'm always pushing politics. I heard you say nonpartisan, right? But I think politics is war, and I enjoy war, right, personally.
I feel you.
But I also understand that there's universal law too,
man,
and there's a spirituality concept attached to that, right? And it's like, how do you find the balance in the two? Which gets me back to why that's was such a courageous move. Like we in the midst of the NBA finals right now, and we in the midst of a country in turmoil over
race relations,
social injustice around black people, right? And what, a week or two, you get Charles Barkley and Shaquille basically saying, hey, I rock with the police, right? 2 weeks before that, you get a day of boycott from the NBA, right? That says, well, we ain't with this shit for this day, but we back at it tomorrow, right?
We ain't really with it, kind of maybe Fuck it, give us the ball.
I just want to say this, and it's not in defense of Shaquille O'Neal or Charles Barkley. I think the key component to mobilizing people is to educate them.
Sure.
So you're looking at these individuals, right? Because of their status, and it's like we want to place a certain responsibility on their shoulders, but they may be more ignorant than you know.
Two make that point all the time.
I agree.
Two makes that point all the time.
But I want to add another element too, which gets back to Craig Hodges. I think one of the most essential elements to being a man is gumption.
Okay.
Right? I think gumption matters, right? And what I'm saying about the capitulation part, you don't got to capitulate because your ass is operating in the space and place of fear, you do. Therein lies the difference, right? So you could be dumb, but if you got heart, you could change some shit.
But one of the things that I looked at, like from the economic end, if you looked at the early 80s and some of the 90s, is that the people who got paid early, who got those large salaries,
they shut the fuck up.
And a lot of them were Southern born. So it was a certain
mentality.
Man, so that, like we say, some people haven't studied it enough. Like when I look at Nick Cannon, in his situation, you put yourself in a situation with Professor Griff, okay? You can't come with the heat that Griff comes with. Exactly. So don't even try.
Right.
Just allow Griff to come with it, and you come with your little piece.
Right.
But when you step out of that box, and now you stepping into anti-Semitism, as they call it, I say, brother, when you had the rabbi on the show the next day, why didn't you ask the rabbi, what is anti-Semitism? We never, when they come to us, like people came to me and said that many of the things that I was saying, and I was saying it from this standpoint, that when you look at 85 to 90% of the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, it's Jewish agents that are part and parcel who are doing these contracts. My position was that if it's a Jewish violinist, would that parent allow me as a black man to represent their child? And whenever you come with that position, it becomes a thing where you're anti-Semitic. And I say, whoa, tell me what that means.
Right.
Tell me if Africa is when you talk about the languages and all of that, we're Semitic. So how can we be anti myself? So there's a lot that goes into that, man.
That only seems to happen to us, right? When we are pro-black, then we are somehow anti some other stuff.
And that's the
everybody else can be pro-white, but they're not anti-American. But we pro-black. Oh, you anti-American? You anti this? Like, no,
I think
I'm not.
That's the part and parcel of the whole system. Is that, like you were saying, that within it we think we're making moves, but we're not really making any moves. So when I look at the NBA taking a day off or whatever, and then when it comes time that brothers like LeBron walk out the meeting and said, okay, we're not going to hoop. And then you call in Barack Obama and Michael Jordan. And I'm like...
a couple of capitulators.
And then I'm saying, why don't you call in Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf
Craig
Hodges,
Word up.
who actually had this happen to them, as opposed to speculating about... and it's funny to me, man, is how, later, people come to me later. I got a call a couple days ago from a brother, and we all know him, and he said, now's the time, Hodge. And I laughed my ass off because I'm saying, dude, when I went to the White House in 1991,
then was the time.
It was 900 murders in the city of Chicago, brother.
And that was right before the 94 crime bill. So, then was the time.
Man, and that's the whole thing, is that when he told me that, I'm like, man, what about your mom? It was her time. It was my mama's time, because the injustice, to me, injustice only is allowed when we be silent about it.
Sure.
We not organized to it. So one of the things that I was asking the brothers not to go play was so that now I could ask the sisters not to go work. So if I could get my brothers to say, okay, we're not going to hoop, we're not going to play baseball, we're not going to dance, we're not going to sing until we start to see some movement, now we can ask the sisters who are actually the nuts and bolts of corporate America.
Sure.
So if we don't go to work on any of these public transportation systems across America, America shuts down.
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at Sandra Bland, Breonna Taylor, how quick the media wants to get them off of the cover because they understand the true sleeping giant is the sister.
Sure.
All right. So when you want to highlight George Floyd, you want to highlight Blake, but when it comes to sisters, you want to get that off the screen real quick because you know that the power that they wield.
So you mentioned all the time on I Said What I Said that black people are only represented really in terms of jobs in the government sector. It's like I think we 3% represented in the private sector.
2% in the private sector. All of our jobs is
all of our jobs is government. So if we stop fucking working, we can literally shut it down.
Let me I don't know if y'all ever seen the documentary 13.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I saw this in prison, you know, and I wanted to get the people who was in charge of, you know, playing the movies in prison.
Yes, sir.
Because I was watching it by other means,
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
right.
But at the end of the day, when you look at the whole dynamic of this documentary, is that after the Emancipation Proclamation, right, the economy plummeted, right? So what the government did was exploit the 13th Amendment, which says every man is free until he commits a crime.
Absolutely.
Right? So now you criminalize
that's new slavery.
this amendment, right? To do what? To reestablish
Workforce.
the workforce. So now
The slave
if people
force.
understood this, like you just said, I'm only speaking to the point you just made.
Facts.
Because when these situations happen, it seems like we go to work harder.
Man.
You know what I mean? For real.
Tell the truth.
No
So
question.
the reality of it is, like, me, I'm not. I would never say I'm a historian, but history teaches us a lot.
Yes, sir.
History teaches us a lot, and if we, once again, I think education is key. You know what I'm saying? In Islam, we say al-ilmu qabla qawli wal amal. Knowledge precedes speech and action.
Can you run that back?
Al-ilmu qabla qawli wal amal. In Arabic, this means knowledge precedes speech and actions.
Okay.
So a person shouldn't say nothing or do nothing without knowledge. So when you have a lot of action going on with no knowledge, this becomes confusion. This is how you can't actually identify with the people who are advocating sincerely versus those who are advocating when it's convenient. So now what happens is if you want to demean the process, you target those who are advocating and they're not sincere. You understand? So this does away with the advocacy that's sincere. And this is where the divide is. So when you think about building a house, you build from a foundation. You don't build a house from the roof. So when everybody tries to put a roof around a situation, but you have no foundation, all you have to do is attack the foundation because it's weak.
See, like that point there, to me right there, that's what we experiencing in this Black Lives Matter.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That we have those sincere, and that's, for me being a baby of the movement, I think about, you know, I marched in Chicago Heights about 2 weeks ago. A young brother by the name of Darius Washington got shot 14 times by the police. And we're still trying to get the body cam and all that from Chicago Heights Police. But it reminded me, we're in the middle of Halsted Street, and I walked this as a baby with my mom now. So I'm looking at the difference in strategy. That when we were moving in the 60s, it may be like 10 or 12 brothers that would actually scout the site out and then come back, organize, and then we go practice on the school ground how the men were going to be outside if some shit jumped off, the men on the outside, women on the inside, babies on the middle. That we practice that shit. Where now I look at it, there's no organizational structure.
There's no structure.
So I'm looking at how easy it is for somebody to infiltrate with a different mindset. So I'm in Chicago Heights and I'm watching this one sister, she's coming from a revolutionary standpoint.
Sure.
And I'm like, that's cool, but that ain't cool for what we got right here. You haven't talked to the masses. You come from Chicago on a whole different mission that now my people ain't ready for this. So my thing is, when we're talking about this whole protest thing, is that we have to be mindful that now there are laws that say you are a urban terrorist if we get you out here doing what we say you're not supposed to be doing, even though you think it's peaceful. We have to
even though it's supposed to be your right.
And that's
your right.
There it is. And that's the cold piece where, once again, this system of white supremacy racism, your right ain't my right.
Yeah.
Right.
But see, the thing is, when you mobilizing these people, they don't know it's their right.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
There
So
you go.
now, when you have this consistent, contradiction, or this constant attack on these efforts, everyone goes to scattering and running, not knowing to stand because it's your right. Not stand because, okay, I ain't no punk.
Right.
That ain't going to help.
You literally have the right.
Exactly.
You have the right. But if you're not educated, then how could you be effective in any type of battle?
Yeah.
But that's a question we
got
to ask.
Battle is not brute. Remember what you said about the acronym. but can you whoop my ass?
But check this out. That's a question we got to ask ourselves, right? Going back to the Dred Scott. Do we have the right? See, this is where I get confused.
That's it.
Right?
That's it.
If we operate from the Neely Fuller standpoint that until you fully understand white supremacy, everything you think you understand only confuses you. Going back to the Dred Scott case,
exactly.
You have no rights that a white man is bound to respect.
Sure,
right? And we seem, and this is where I get to, well, it's the same conversation all around the board.
It's the same.
It's the same conversation, right? But part of my struggle is that we lack an authentic identity. So you do get confusion. You can't organize because everybody got a different thought.
Now that's what I'm saying. It's like, okay, how do we? Who are we? Who are we? Yeah. So I'm saying that
that's number one.
What's the first thing?
Man,
you're a human being.
There you go.
Now, if you look at history,
there you go.
You take the civil rights movement. You didn't get anybody that was in opposition to join until it became a humanity thing.
Right.
So when you alienate it to be one thing, right? Not taking away anything from the Black Lives Matter.
Right.
But you're alienating a whole, demographic or dynamic to say that is only contingent upon this, right?
Right.
But in all actuality, we have to also identify with the people who don't have this color, who are sincerely involved in trying to help and aid and assist because they see it as a humanitarian thing. They'll never be able to do it from a place of understanding the culture, understanding what the ethnicity.
So how you find the balance then, Lou? Like, I feel you on the piece in terms of getting other people involved, right? In terms of finding advocates and allies and all that. I feel that piece. But in terms of identifying who we are, what it is that we want and how we're going to go about getting it, I think identity is a critical component to that equation. Like you take the LGBTQ community, right? They went about defining themselves. Who the fuck are we, right? And then once we know who we are, we can figure out what it is we want. And if we're organized enough, we can go about.
There's no discrepancy in that.
Right.
They don't have a debate about
how do we go about getting that piece, right? Because I think that's as important as getting other people on board. I think that getting other people on board is fine, but until we are unified in who we are, the white lady from suburban America ain't really going to change our circumstances on the ground.
Like you just said, you made a fine point. Because like you just mentioned the LGBTQ community, right? They don't have a discrepancy about their identity.
And when they do, they add another
take
letter.
It all in. You know what I'm saying? They got an acronym that says each one of these different dynamics of this belief that we have is all under one banner.
Right.
We have an issue with our blackness.
Yeah.
Teach. Like we was talking about what we was laughing about earlier.
Yeah, you got some people that's black from a perspective where they've never endured any trauma that comes from being in the ghetto.
Right.
But that's not black enough for a dude that comes from the ghetto. So you're alienating your own people based on his experience. Right.
Or he's black and he's gay, or it's the diaspora versus the ADOS, or it's even outside we fucking around.
Now
like
you're trying to establish the
saying?
same unified front under one banner that we don't share the same commonality.
That's a problem.
So that's the confusion. That's the confusion. It's like you got an Oreo, you got a Glee Club ass nigga. He never did nothing but so now this is where I'm a G. I did. Right. So everybody. You know what I'm saying? Has their own.
We find our reasons to be different, whereas the LGBTQ community finds reasons to be together. Even if I got to add another letter to this whole thing.
This is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying this to even. I'm not trying to say this to even demean
anybody,
or or decrease the value of what's taking place. Because me, honestly, if you think about problem solving when we in the ghetto, right? We deal with the immediate issue.
Yes.
Right?
That's all you got time to deal with.
That's it, right? But in our situation right now as a people, you know what I'm saying? We keep going back 400 years. We have an immediate issue. Let's win the small battle. Let's win this battle that's in front of us. Something that's tangible. Right now, we have in front of us. We can't keep making it go all the way back. Because what you're doing now is you're adding another component to the primary objective. The primary objective, let's say, for example, of George Floyd or Breonna Taylor.
Sure.
This is the primary objective. Let's say that these injustices is something that we need to attack full steam ahead, right? Now, when we get to the place where we're establishing our voice, it can't spin off into something that took place 4 or 5 centuries ago.
That's not
so wait. I'm providing some pushback to this shit. I'll push it back, right?
Push back.
Because our immediate issue is directly attached to 400 years ago, right? So this is my problem with even Black Lives Matter or any of those kind of conversations. It's like trying to cure cancer from when it's metastasized, right? So you say, man, police brutality is fucked up. Let's deal with the police. Well, what the fuck is the police? But the first arm of the government.
Now,
right?
One of the things I want to ask is this to the brotherhood, is that within the law, our status, what is our status in the law? Do we have the ability to be in our proper status? And that's the thing where I think we have to bring our minds together to say, okay, who are we? And how are we going to put this forth legally?
I'm with it.
You know,
which still goes back to the 400-year conversation, right?
Okay, we
so
about to have a break. I want to get into it. I want to hear it.
Check
I want to hear it.
Though,
And
right?
I'm just going,
We still getting to the identity conversation.
No
We still getting there, right? So I don't know if y'all hip to the ADOS movement. Y'all hip to the ADOS movement? So ADOS is a concept that says it causes trying to create a lineage based on identity around American descendants of slavery, right? That's how we can all identify under this one.
I'm definitely want to help you with that.
Under this one umbrella, right? Now, the only logical reason to do that is to push forth legislation to pay out reparation. So when we start thinking about police brutality, we start thinking about redlining, we start thinking about ghettos, even from the construct of what ghetto is.
Right.
It's all a reflection of us being forced into a caste system, which ain't never changed.
Right.
Right? So even to the point of Shaq or Mike, any of them capitulating, and it's from the outside looking in like, man, this man got XYZ amount of money. But in contrast to the kind of money that's out there, you ain't got shit.
They teach.
Right?
Listen.
And if you don't got a block of people to rock with you behind you, and we don't, that little XYZ money you got don't mean shit.
Nothing.
You want to send Bill Cosby to jail? We'll do it. It's not a problem.
Listen, we gotta pause it right there. If you just tuned in, this is I Said What I Said. My name is Herb. His name is Tu. We are absolutely thrilled to be joined live in studio by Craig Hodges and Loon.
Share. Also, they banned me on Facebook, so I can't share. Share.
Y'all might have thought that we was going. Y'all might have thought who was on the show today. Y'all might have thought we was going to talk rapping and basketball. Bullshit. We got more important things to talk about. We're going to touch on a little bit of that, but very, very surface level.
Hooping too, though.
Very, very surface level. We got deeper things to get into. This is I Said What I Said. My name is Herb. His name is Tu. We'll be right back after this.
WIFTBPM.
When you need vibrant, colorful gear that offers high-performance material that keeps you cool, call Agent Huff Custom Gear. Let us take your expressions and create something new for your everyday wear, your bedroom, or bath. For all your needs, we offer custom sublimation, silkscreen, vinyl, and embroidery. You can reach us on all things social at Superhero Huff. www.superherohuff.com or 630-476-9191.
Introducing your trusted source for high-quality Black emojis, better known as Blackmoji. We believe Black is beautiful, and that beauty should be reflected in the digital market. Now there is an app that does just that, starting with Black Greek letter organizations. Blackmoji D9 offers more than an emoji app. It is a cultural experience of Black excellence. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to access a specially curated catalog of emojis representing the Divine Nine. Use the emojis to celebrate Black Greek events, acknowledge current events, support social causes, and learn about esteemed Black Greek members who blaze the trail of Black history. A portion of every subscription goes toward a scholarship fund specifically for members of Black Greek letter organizations to help keep the legacy alive. Download the Blackmoji app today.
Is it really a good idea to have the same senator for 3 generations? I support term limit for all elected officials. Our senators need to bring home growth for our business community, jobs, housing, service for our senior citizens, and healthcare. We need new ideas and new approach to federal representation. I'm Dr. Willie Wilson. Vote for me and send me to Washington, D.C. God bless.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for Senate 2020.
The birthday line is, easily, or the birthday bash, whatever you want to call it.
Our hit record.
That's our hit record.
That's our hit record.
That's our one. That's
right,
my girl.
That's my girl by the Temptations.
Like
no matter where we go, we got to do that.
Ready to who's this on that birthday line?
It's Maddie. Hi, baby.
And how old are you on this day?
I'm 14. I'm 13.
Go ahead. It's your birthday. Go ahead.
Definitely let out twins.
Where y'all from?
Southside.
Where y'all from?
Ida B.
Bad boys gonna say about
Ida
birthday
B.
from WGCI. That's 3 down. 2 more.
Old projects.
Bill on the show called It's your birthday. Go, 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 go. I got a question.
Hey, she doing the question.
No more to go. Done with the show cause it's your birthday. Hey, let that play.
It took, man.
I'm tired just listening to that.
Chicago Famous, 3 to 6, Monday through Friday, right here on What's in It for the Black People Media.
WIFTBPM.
Live from What's in It for the Black Media Studio. You're listening to I Said What I Said.
Wait, what did you say?
I said you're listening to I Said What I Said.
I just said that.
I know you just said that.
That's what I just said.
That's what I'm saying to you.
Exactly what he just said.
With Herb Howard and Susan Werner.
That's about one of the nicest things you ever said.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
We are back live from the What's in It for the Black People Media Studios. This is I Said What I Said. His name is Tucson Warner. His name is Loon, and I'm on their show. I'm just on their show, man. Loon is in here. Loon is in here running things, and that's okay. No, I'm rocking with it, brother. I'm rocking with it. Wait, let's clear this up first, though, right? Obviously, on a star level, you were introduced to the world as Loon, right? You no longer go by that.
I mean,
not
the thing is this.
Normally,
people know Loon.
Yeah.
Right?
Teach.
Even though I became Amir. Right? But in order for you to get to Amir, you know,
you gotta go through Loon.
That you know me as Loon, right? I can't just
That's fair.
force you to just
Nigga, don't call me Loon. I don't know Amir.
Exactly. If that's what happened when people find some type of adjustment in their life.
Sure.
Out of fear of losing it, what they do is repel anything that attacks it. So it's like, you know what? Nah, don't do that no more. Don't do that no more. But that it's still a party.
Teach.
I dig it.
So
I want to be clear because listen, you've gone through, like you said at the top of the show, you've gone through a lot of transitions in life, and you know I know you're not rapping no more, but you still move like a rapper. It's 37 niggas in the studio right now. Okay, you still move like a rapper.
Most of them from Chicago. But listen, I just wanted to say this one thing because before the break he mentioned something about ADOS. I just want to give you a short glimpse into what led me to accepting Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The first experience is when I went to Senegal. I visit Gorée Island, which is the first slave houses ever built.
Yes, sir.
Right. In short, when I took the tour, not the generic tour, the guy that they had looked like a Disney tour guide, I didn't go with him. I went with a brother that was actually a resident. He lived in Senegal. Mm-hmm. So his grasp or scope of understanding was a little bit more in depth. Mm-hmm. So long story short, he said 60 million slaves passed through here.
Wow.
But 6 never left the soil. They fought and they died. Mm-hmm. So you know me, I'm ignorant. I'm a rapper. There must have been some real niggas.
For real. They had to be.
He said, nah, they were Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
So what that mean?
Right.
He said they would not submit to no one other than Allah, and they fought and they died. He said the ones that were weaker in faith, they were the ones who got sold into slavery. Mm-hmm. So that stripped me of nationalism.
Wow.
So even if I could have a conversation about my people, you know what I'm saying, it's not so much that I'm engulfed in it to where I don't have an understanding of hold up.
I'm with you. Go ahead.
You know, that what brings us to a higher, place in life is that this whole understanding that we had growing up was revolved around us, defending our honor, our dignity, our integrity, and our ethnicity and our nationalism and so on and so forth.
Yes, sir.
But when that single event in my life stripped me of that, not completely, but to the point where my understanding of who I am. That was the question that was asked earlier. It got elevated. The second experience is I went to Kazakhstan. This is Middle Eastern Asia.
Yes, sir.
I was a guest of the president for 9 days. I'm out there having my way. This man shut down a whole country for us, and then whatever the case may be. I remember on the final day, I'm sitting there smoking. I asked the bill, like, when you see a nigga, how you say what's up?
Right.
He like, salam alaikum. This man look like Yao Ming.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This is Middle Eastern Asia. These are descendants of Mongolians.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Yes,
You know what I'm
sir.
saying? So I'm sitting there like, no, that's what the Muslims say.
That's
Because
a
you know, in New
mindfuck
York,
right
all
there.
I knew was the Yemenis,
Sure.
the West Africans with the cabs,
Sure.
the Pakistanis with the pharmacy.
Sure.
I ain't never seen this length of diversity.
Right.
So that was my first encounter with a more immense diversity
Mm-hmm.
in Islam. Then I remember I got booked to go to Dubai. And a girl that was working for me at the time, I'm like, man, I ain't going to that shit. You crazy? I done seen the little Yemeni pictures and they got the
Right,
little kid
right,
with the AK.
right,
I ain't
right,
going to that shit.
right,
You crazy?
Right.
She like, so you don't want to go? She bidding off me. But then she started showing me pictures.
No, I
I'm
like that.
Nah, that's not the place. Definitely not. You know,
It's
'cause I'm like-
luxurious as hell.
So now that showed me, just like every other experience I had in Africa, we not all walking around famished with flies in our
Right.
face.
That's right. Right.
All the Arabs out there, not terrorists.
Right.
All of these things are being, you know what I'm saying, diverted
Yes, sir.
in this country to keep you in a box. So a wise man once told me, my grandfather, he said the instructions is always on the outside of the box. The ingredients is on the outside of the box. So how the hell you gonna make sense of what the ingredients of Captain Crunch is if you living inside the Captain Crunch box, right? So this is where we stuck. This is why we keep trying to make sense.
So let me throw these two things back at you.
Here we go. Let's go.
Because I've always
I got
said
some stuff to throw back to you.
Yeah, I know you do. I know.
You understand?
I've always been of, well, not always, but I've come to the understanding, in my opinion, that black people on American soil come from the strongest people that have ever walked the face of this earth. I'm talking about people who were able to survive the transatlantic slave trade, right, and then survive slavery, survive Jim Crow. I think the black people in this country now come from the strongest people that ever walked the face of this earth. And then when I hear what you saying, I hear it's like, no, the strongest motherfuckers died at the word go. So let me introduce the piece about Kanye saying slavery was a choice. Where you come in on that particular conversation in terms of the practicality of it and the actual circumstances that them people found themselves in.
I'm glad you asked that because I speak to Kanye. You know what I'm saying? I've known Kanye for a very long time before he became outspoken and everything. He was a very shy dude. Very talented, very quiet guy. He didn't speak much. Now that he's had the same experiences that all of us, when we reach a certain level of success, we get exposed. We get exposed to stuff. So I think that he says things without thinking them all the way through. He says things without actually explaining the source of the statement. So what happens is it falls into that sound bite to where it can get chopped and screwed and misinterpreted. And then when he tries to walk it back, it gets worse.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
As it usually does.
But listen though, I'm just saying in defense of him because I know I deal with the hearts of men.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The hearts of men is going to exceed all these other things. Because that's where we live. Or that's where we're supposed to live.
That's real.
You understand? I live in my heart. This is why this sentence for me, not to even boast of, it was easier for me because I lived in a place that's safe. You know, the heart is a filter. You can't have two things that contradict itself live in the same place. But your brain is like a hard drive.
Yeah.
You store all this shit up
Everything
there
is in
and
there.
try to make sense of it.
Figure it
You
out.
understand?
But in the heart, faith and
You
fear
shut
can't occupy the
down,
same space.
It can't.
Nope.
Because what you love is going to repel what you hate. They're not going to be able to reside. But we keep trying to make sense of information that we've saturated our brains with. And like, if you look at this phone right here, if you over too many apps, too much data, this joint going to shut down.
Absolutely.
You understand? And this ain't going to be no good when it's time to make an actual sound decision.
Too much stimulus.
From here. You know what I'm saying? Because when the brain shut off, you can still live, right? Plugged up and
Well,
everything.
yeah.
But when the heart stops, where you going?
Done.
I gotta take a break because in the 1 o'clock hour I blew through all the breaks and so we coming up on the 2 o'clock hour. I want to make sure at least we hit the one at the top two. I know you got some responses, and then Craig, I want to get back to you because there are some things that are going on present day with some athletes that I want to find out about how you felt about it because you play for the rock star team in the 90s, right? So if anybody had a platform, it was y'all. Y'all, everywhere y'all went, hundreds of cameras followed y'all around.
Yep.
It was like that for y'all.
No doubt.
And so I want to find out, what was it like for players in that time on the issue of speaking out and using their platform versus what it looks like today. This is I Said What I Said. His name is Tucson Warner. My name is Herb Howard. We're joined live in the studio by Craig Hodges and Amir. Appreciate both of y'all brothers being in the studio.
He love me now.
We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back after this.
That's love.
WIFTBPM.
Funeral expenses are costly. The Casket Store wants to help you save hundreds of dollars. You do not have to purchase a casket from the funeral home. Call now for a free in-home consultation. Call 773-445-6900. 773-445-6900.
What's up, good people? If you didn't tune in to the last I Said What I Said, here's what you missed. Special thanks to Love McPherson.
And when you talk about object sex, you and objectifying that woman, you glorify pieces of her. And let me tell you something. If you think that doesn't matter, it does. And I'm going to tell you why it matters. I looked at a video and I was looking at these young boys, these teenagers, and they were like, do you like black women or white women? I like white women. I like white women. And first I felt some kind of way. Then you know what happened to me? I started listening to them and they said, why did you like the white women? Because they'll do anything for you. Yeah, the white hoes.
Bitch, you is a hoe. Bitch, you is a hoe.
And I thought pornography has elevated what the white woman will do for you, the objectifying of her. And this is why we don't realize, even in our spaces, the black man is shut down because he doesn't know the power of his seed like the white man knows the power of his seed.
Oh, look, just like milk.
He doesn't realize that you sit up there coming into my neighborhood, objectifying my white women because you say they do it better than your women is a problem. They don't do it to them, but they won't bring that out, and they will not allow you to do that to their women.
I Said What I Said, Herb and 2, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right here on What's in It for the Black People Media.
Introducing your trusted source for high-quality black emojis, better known as Blackmoji. We believe black is beautiful, and that beauty should be reflected in the digital market. Now there is an app that does just that, starting with Black Greek letter organizations. Blackmoji D9 offers more than an emoji app. It is a cultural experience of black excellence. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to access a specially curated catalog of emojis representing the Divine Nine. Use the emojis to celebrate Black Greek events, acknowledge current events, support social causes, and learn about esteemed Black Greek members who blaze the trail of Black history. A portion of every subscription goes toward a scholarship fund specifically for members of Black Greek letter organizations to help keep the legacy alive. Download the Blackmoji app today.
WIFTBPM.
Live from What's in It for the Black Media Studio. You're listening to I Said What I Said.
Wait, what did you say?
I said you're listening to I Said What I Said.
I just said that.
I know you just said that.
That's what I just said.
That's what I'm saying to you.
Exactly what he just said.
With Herb Howard and Tucson Werner.
That's about one of the nicest things you ever said.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
WIFTBPM.
Live from What's in It for the Black Media Studio. You're listening to I Said What I Said.
Wait, what did you say?
I said you're listening to I Said What I Said.
I just said that.
We are back. We are live from the What's in It for the Black People Media Studios. This is I Said What I Said. Herb Howard, Tucson Warner here with you every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. Thank you all so very, very much for choosing to be a part of this conversation. That means the absolute world to us. Again, as always, your input is valued. It is certainly appreciated. Anything that you want to add to the conversation, feel free to leave your comments. We will read through as many of them as possible as we go through the show. Also, if you haven't had an opportunity to do so, please take a quick moment to share the conversation. We would greatly appreciate all of you all sharing the comment. I look back on the numbers sometimes. They'd be like, hey, this many thousands of people watching. They'd be like, 20 people shared it. Come on, y'all, share it. It's cool. it's enough of us. Y'all don't got to be stingy with us, man. Share it. It's cool. We are joined live in the studio today by Loon, formerly known as Loon. His name is Amir, and also Craig Hodges is here in the studio with us, and we're getting into it pretty deep into a conversation about Black liberation, what that looks like, what the freedom looks like, what our history looks like, and how we can look back upon that to try and use it as a North Star for how we go forward. Craig Hodges, you mentioned something earlier in the show about trying to get athletes in the time to use their platform to speak up about things that were important to us. Now, obviously, clearly there wasn't a whole lot of people who were willing to do that. And even you move into present day, you had Colin Kaepernick being willing to stand out on it. You had Eric Reed and a few others that were willing to stand with him on those types of things. But by and large, you still have the sports community like, I gotta cash these checks, fam.
Yeah,
I'm not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest parts is that, the economic ramifications of standing up. And
sure.
One of the things I think that we need to, and I talked to Dr. John Carlos about this, is being able to put together a fund that if brothers do stand up, that we have their backs. And that one of the things that we have to put in place is the ability to know where we are. And, to know Brother Amir and to be able to say, okay, I know this brother's here. I know where this brother is, and now we can start to pull that energy together. And I think that's the biggest thing is like, especially now with the COVID being what it is, with for the first time in America, they're actually giving brothers money to stay at home. So I think now is the time when we can really organize ourselves and come out with the mindset and more of a mature movement, man. I think we've been somewhat immature, and that's what happened. If you look at from 1978. The NBA was at probably its all-time low because the league was probably predominantly black. The New York Knicks had an all-black team. Report came out in the New York Post during that time about the New York Knickerbockers because it was all black. So you have Magic and Larry Bird in 1979 in the NCAA championship. That basically set it up for the NBA to have now to be able to bring in white people to buy tickets.
Michigan State and Indiana State.
Exactly.
The narrative of black against white.
There you go. So now you was able to have your Converse combat where you got
sold itself.
Yeah,
it sold itself.
But then
value of the NBA.
No question. Yeah. But then you look at how organized the NBA is. How the hell could you have the two top players in NCAA go to the two top teams in the league?
One on Boston, one in LA, East Coast, West Coast.
So you fully understand white scripts.
Everything else you think you know will only convince you.
There you go. So it's one of those things where, at that point in time, even if it was whether the brothers
can't send Michael Jordan to Portland, take Sam Bowie.
Right. So if the brothers wanted to say something during the early 80s and 90s, it was almost a apolitical position that I'm not going to speak up on issues that may affect my earning potential, whether it be on the court or whether it be endorsement-wise. So a lot of brothers weren't really saying anything. And somebody asked me that probably when The Last Dance came out and them not having me in it, it kind of highlighted me. So a lot of people, started to call me and ask me things.
Judd Bushler was in it.
It's cool, man.
It's not cool. It's not cool at all.
And you know why I say it's cool, brother? Because like brother has said, it's a matter of a separation now. It's a spiritual separation, and for me, I'm glad I wasn't in it because what it did was it really kind of made it to a thing where I'm on this side on the spirit. I'm not on the side with the physical, and that one of the things that I look back, you look over the sands of times and you see where like Derek Fisher was a players union president, so he got to play another 5 or 6 years. So they asked me to be the president of the union, like 90, 91. And for me, I was like, man, I don't want to deal with that garbage. But in hindsight, it was a move that was going to be made by Michael Jordan and David Falk to get me to be the president of the union, so that I could be a rubber stamp for all their job. But me on the spiritual end, I don't want to deal with you hunkies all year. You know what I'm saying? That's where I was at. Because I was like, man, I want to, spend time with my sons and do that thing. But in hindsight of it, we see how the spiritual is the key component of this thing, man.
I think you absolutely have to be guided by your spirit. Go ahead, too. I'm sorry.
And this goes back to the statement Amir made. I'm not going to provide full pushback because we got to keep the conversation moving. But I definitely would destroy most of that in what he said. But listen, Craig just mentioned a great point, and I did some research on Craig last night too. Your first 3 contracts, respectfully, was like $40,000, $45,000, and $50,000.
Teach.
Right, and then it brings me back to the book, what was it, $40 Million Slaves.
Absolutely.
And to the spirituality component, right? I think money is a Band-Aid, right? But I think spirituality is the healing.
Teach.
Right? So, in context, where we had these NBA players making uber money, in truth, they're just greater slaves. Because now they become slaves to the next contract, slaves to who accepts me, slaves who controls my voice. And going back to you can't trust what's what because people are uneducated, right? Absolutely. I think who we propel to be in the front of these conversations, because they are the greatest paid, and in America, that's what we admire, right? Because this is Vegas, baby. That's all this is. This is Vegas. You know what I mean? So we admire who's the biggest gambler at the table, who got the most winnings. Intellectually, though, most of them are lost or controlled by XYZ dollars.
No question about it.
And in context, those XYZ, somebody's paying you that money,
man,
which means they got it to pay you.
We had a conversation, man. We were on the bus and we were talking education, and Scotty and Horace might have been second or third year, and they just got nice contracts, and it was like, man.
So Scotty thought.
Yeah, man. Man. So he says to us, man, what we need education for? We making 6 figures. And I say, brother, and I pointed to Jerry Reinsdorf. I say, man, you taking 6, he taking 12 off top before this thing even jump off for a scene. He getting 12 figures before he even throw you anything. So the reality of money, I would ask people to check out 1928-29, the Federal Reserve Bank in Chicago wrote a book by the name of Modern Money Mechanics. And it teaches us that money don't exist. So when we look at currency, it's the energy that we put into things is what we're going to get out of it. And that's how we're going to mobilize to get the economics that we need. So my brother here, who's a manufacturer in Taylor, we at the gas station this morning, and the brothers are sagging. And he tells me, he say, man, Hodge, that's one of the longest running fashion fads in American history. Yeah. But we have to educate them to get them to realize what we have to do to change this whole mentality. So it's a lot to me that goes into it from the standpoint that we've been blessed to be on those stages, whether it be Loon or whether it be me hooping. But we also had that opportunity to feel that, man, something powerful can come from this if we can get more of us on this same vibrational level. And I think now, like brother was saying, that it's a humanity thing right now where people from across the waters are looking at the oppression of our people in America and having something to say about it. I'm 60 years old. I told my brother today, when I saw that debate yesterday, I know we on, because whenever I have never seen in the history of my 60 years, and I studied, like I said, I was a baby of the movement. I watched Watergate like it was a cartoon. So for me, when I see this, I say, man, I've never seen white men so angry at one another. And they picked their sides, and now their sides are basically wanderless. They have no clue.
Yeah.
They have no clue of what the definitive movements are going to be coming out of this thing. And that's why I'm saying to us, to me especially, I feel like this. When we were talking about unity earlier, and you were saying you wondered if we ever had it, I feel like when we look back historically, my brother Amir, I've never been to Africa, but I plan on going. When he tells me his journey through Africa, it tells me that we are the founders of civilization. So right now we're at that point in America where we have to rebuild this and not even consider it to be even a challenge. This is what we do. We are builders. We are spiritual. There you go. And we're the spiritual for the planet. So now we're getting ready to be in our right light for one of the first times in history. I look back at 1968, 69, when I was a little boy, and we had our froze. And I tell people that's the last time I feel like we was in our right minds. But the oppression was coming from everywhere. So whether you was a singer, a dancer, a hooper, everybody had that same heat. Where now you have people who going to Black Lives movements in their Rolls Royce parking around the corner so they could take their 14-year-old and then go back to their gated community. So like we say, that it's a different type of stress coming from different levels.
I just wanted to say one thing in closing. It's like,
don't close. I got to come to you about this thing right quick.
I'm just saying, like, as far as this
if it's okay, sir.
I just believe that we're overlooking other dynamics that actually work in the favor of this movement.
Yes, sir.
You got social media.
Teach.
Right? Like Craig Hodges said, he's 60 years old. I'm 45 years old. I remember the time when we used to have pen pals.
Teach.
Yeah.
Take you 3 weeks
to get
a letter there.
Yeah. Get it back.
Yeah. You get this little ass picture.
Yeah.
Of the guy you talking to.
Yeah.
Your pen pal was a guy?
Huh?
See, I told you he be on that bullshit.
You know why? Because you have to connect with those who are your age range and what they're experiencing in the lands that they are, right? But the thing is, I have children. My youngest daughter is 10.
Okay.
My oldest be 29.
Okay.
So my son is in the other room. He's 24. You know, so I got adults. 26-year-olds. I got adults, and basically watching the transitions.
Shooting the
between
club up early.
You know what I'm saying? Generations. Yeah. But my 10-year-old, she plays a game called Roblox.
Yeah.
She probably has friends in Australia and never been in Australia. Look at the connection
That's real.
now. Right?
That's real.
If you look at TikTok and all of this stuff, right, that's going on, you don't see an abundance of white children emphasizing any racism or any type of they're enjoying
each other.
Yeah. They're enjoying this current time. They're enjoying our culture respectfully. The dances we come up with, all of that, they trying to do them too. And they're not doing it to feel like, they doing it out of respect for this is what's popping.
And there's no reason.
This is what we doing.
So it's not surprising that the government is trying to ban TikTok.
Exactly. So now this is what I'm trying to say. Is like armies are not defined by, the primary, objective. They're defined by who you incorporate into the battle, and do they share your same commonality?
I dig that.
Do they share the same vision, the same objective? Do they want the same victory? If we leave that out, right?
I dig that.
We're going in circles.
That core group got to be in place first.
It got to be. Listen, it's so crazy. Just on the side note, everybody look at Godfather, right? Look at Tom. Very pinnacle character.
Yeah.
Everybody know Don Corleone.
Yeah, for sure.
Tom got raised from a bastard to be the lawyer, the concierge. He was one of the most influential figures in the mob.
Absolutely, he was the man.
Right? So I say that to say that this is the narrative, and I mentioned this the other day in the meeting we had. A lot of us that come from these inner cities, I don't like to keep saying ghettos. We come from these inner cities, right? We have the power and the influence to inject into the narrative of building infrastructure by taking the positions and roles, that establish that. For example, you tired of police coming to your neighborhood, telling you where to stand. When your ID say the building right here.
Right.
How you gonna tell me move around?
Right.
And my ID
It's my
say
building.
this building
right. I live here. Right.
I don't care what it say, move around. Then go take the job. Go get the job. If you tired of your house burning, firemen taking their time to get to your house because of the community is in, then go get the job. EMS, your ass laying out there with 6 hot rocks in your body and you laying there. I could go play ball, take a shower, change my clothes, and come back.
Sure.
And Lord Darrell or whoever is still laying out there.
Sure.
Go take the job. I was just talking about it, and I just seen it on Instagram in Bensonhurst. The Jews got their own police, their own, and this is in New York. You seen it, right?
Brother, when they had the shootings.
Yeah.
I looked up on CNN, and I'm looking at these Jewish cats in their own uniforms with AKs, and I'm like, whoa, why can't we roll like that?
You know why? Because we want to do it from the wrong means.
You think we can get inside and change that joint from inside?
How many kids out here running around here?
But you know the cold part was they ain't going on the inside. They doing their own
thing.
Now when the police walk up,
but they white. To his point about like the dress code joint.
Hold on,
Pete, go back.
You got felonies?
No, sir.
You got a license to carry a gun?
Yes, sir.
Do you have one?
No, sir.
Why not?
I should.
You just answered your question. Do you got felonies?
No, I got a pistol though.
You got a pistol though.
Oh, I have a
right?
pistol.
Okay. How many kids is running around here with no F on their report card? I got 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'd be lucky I can carry a knife.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of kids running around here with no Fs on their report card,
Right.
rehearsing for the feds.
Right.
I'm talking about they on TV with the guns,
Oh,
with
yeah.
the money, and they rehearsing for the feds. Like they can't zoom in
They
and look at
acting
the
like
serial
bullshit.
number
Right.
on that joint.
Right.
They can zoom in and look at the serial number on that joint,
Mm-hmm.
and you going for a ride.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we not encouraging them to go do exactly what you didn't do, to do what you went and did, but take it another step and get them to get the job? Because his chances of becoming a rapper
Right,
or
but-
the commissioner of the police department is slimmer.
My point is this, and I love the education piece. My point is this: even if we go in there as regular as we can possibly go with all the ARs and AKs, do you think we can walk into a state building like them white people did in Michigan or where the fuck they was
before
at?
we walk. We're not talking about. We talking about small victories. Y'all want to win the end game. You're not Thanos yet. We're nowhere near Thanos. And even if you look at this movie opened the whole world. Everybody wanted to see Endgame. They wanted to see how this shit was going to turn out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But look at the build up to it. This man had to get 5 element stones from all over the world. It took a build up.
Mm-hmm.
And the build up is, why are we not inspiring or encouraging the youth to stop playing lotto? Because everybody's not going to be Craig Hodges.
Teach.
Everybody's not going to be Loon.
Mm-hmm.
But this becomes, for some reason, the only outlet.
That's it.
It was just like when I was growing up. The only outlet was Richard Porter, AZ, Al Poon. You know what I'm saying? My mom's, my father, they ran with Nicky Barnes. My grandfather ran with Bumpy Johnson. I come from generation to generation of this stuff. This ain't new.
And so now you double back and you got you're a part of the Heal America tour, right?
The Heal America tour.
He's so cold, G.
The Heal America tour, where you bring everything that you've learned from growing up in those environments, taking part in those things, having the 3 Fs on your report card, being a international superstar, and now you say, well, the most important thing is that we give back and we educate
the
people how
most
to move.
important thing is that all
Tell
of
us
these
about the Heal
experiences
America
of
tour.
everybody that's on that panel, not just me. We have a lot of very influential people from different areas of the United States that have different roles. Some of us had gang affiliation. We had one brother who's actually law enforcement. You have myself. I was an entertainer. You have Bishop Omar. He's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody, this is the unified
It
front.
takes everybody.
That's it.
This is the front we're talking about.
Yep.
We're talking about bringing a group of individuals who have differences, but we share commonality.
So as I'm looking on the website, it says, as we look out across our nation's landscape today, there's a growing concern about the injustice that seems to be ever growing. America can draw strength from its purported ideas, those of equal rights, inclusion, empowerment, reflected in the Declaration of Independence. Those very principles are the playbook for a national cultural transformation that will begin to heal America and its institutions of the racism that plagues our social, economic, and political reality.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful.
It's real.
So now, what happens when you read that?
I heard more in that beautiful.
Yeah, but hold up.
It is, though.
But this is the thing. I want everybody to take away from what you just read.
Yeah.
Where do you fit in?
That's it. That's it.
Where do you fit
That's
in?
it.
What do you bring to the table,
Man.
to this idea that has manifested into something that has been mobilized?
Everybody's
It's
got to
moving.
tap into that heart piece that you were talking about earlier.
It's
Instead of figuring out, okay, mentally, what do I think I fit into this world? What do I want to work? What job can give me the biggest bag?
Yeah.
And really tap into your spirituality and say, what's my purpose here? What do I
What is
want?
my purpose? That goes back to the question he said, who am I? Well, this is basically a segue into identifying with who you are.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity that goes with the responsibility and obligation that you have as a man. First and foremost, you're a man.
And
We
see-
have a responsibility.
And I love it like this. We sit around the round table, and the leader will present itself. As
Absolutely.
opposed to any brother being around. If we need something and you got it, you the
Yeah.
leader for that. You know what I'm saying? Now
Absolutely.
when we get done. But see, that's been our problem, is that we have been put into this illusionary box, like Brother says, that we got to have a leader. So when y'all put up Dr. King as our leader, Fred Hampton and Mark Clark our leaders,
Sure.
Malcolm our leaders,
Sure.
let's take out the leaders and then see how the body moves. You know what I'm saying? So
or Larry Hoover, Jeff Ford, whoever. You know what I mean? It's the
Absolutely.
same plan.
There it is.
Absolutely.
There it is.
Because leadership is a quality that every man should have. Because your
Absolutely.
leadership starts in your home.
Yes, sir.
You are the imam, like in Islam.
Yes,
You're
sir.
the imam of
Yes,
your
sir.
household. You know what I'm saying? You establish the prayer.
That's it.
These things, are contingent upon your obligation as a man, starting with home. Could you imagine, like when I was in prison, I was trying to like fathom in my mind what it must be to be a father in 2020. Like I said, most of my kids is adults. Look at all the distractions.
Man.
You leave your house at 8 hours a day. Your
Sure.
kid goes to school for about 8 hours a day.
Sure.
When y'all come home, you beat from work. Your child is just basically just running through their homework, and it's like, you know what I'm saying? There's
Max
no
left is 8 anyway, after school and sleep.
communication that takes place in the house. There's no traditional structure. Like my house, we eat dinner at the table. My son will tell you, he brings ever since he was a baby. I eat dinner at the table. You understand? What's the sense of buying a dining room set if you're not going to
Eat
eat at
it
the
and
table?
teach,
You
right.
understand?
Teach.
Right.
I had 2 dining room sets,
Right.
and we eat at the table.
I dig it.
That is our place of coming up to speed. How was school? How was this? Baby,
Right.
how was work?
Right.
This and that. I'm interacting with my family
Right.
because I got.
We're not roommates, we family.
Exactly. So now I got to compete with another set of parents that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? In my generation, it was a drug dealer. You don't want them to, influence your child.
Yep.
But now look at what's going on out there now.
Brother.
If you ain't punching your son in the chest, taking him hunting and fishing and all that, the chances of him ending up being sexually confused, I want to say, that's the term I'm going to use. Confused about.
Who loves that?
Exactly. I'm just saying, but it's, you
The
understand,
term.
like, these
The
things,
term.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, these things are put in place to
No
create
question.
even more confusion, more discord in the house. You know what I'm saying? Multiple impressions that are being placed upon your child, and you only have that small window in your home to instill something in them that they can carry outside the home.
I don't know if we're gonna lose brother Amir here at 2:30, but anything you want to get to him before then?
I wanted us to drop the time and the location of the event tonight too, because it's open to the public.
Yeah,
so we want to,
Why you
we want
ain't
to draw
read that,
attention.
Herb?
Herb, get on your job, Herb.
Sorry, sir. Sorry, Director Amir. I didn't get to it. You know, why don't we just bring the man in? Come on in. Yeah. Come on in. Let introduce yourself. Let everybody know what's going on.
See what happened? You ain't got no
Hey
gun.
man, I'm Anton Lucky, man. I'm enjoying this conversation, man. I'm really enjoying this conversation. I really appreciate both of you, brother. Y'all some knowledgeable, all you, brother. Even this show, man. This is off the chain, man. I sit here. I know we got to leave, but I'm like, man, I can sit and listen to this all day.
I don't think it's. You know what? Hop on Craig camera and take the microphone with you.
Okay.
Right here, brother.
Okay, right there. Okay, y'all. So if you're watching, please tune in to HealAmericaTour.com. Right here? Okay. Tune in to HealAmericaTour.com. Go to HealAmericaTour.com. Register to watch the live stream virtual. I think we're at our capacity with in-person people. But so go to HealAmericaTour.com and register virtually, and you'll be able to see it for free. But it's going to be an interesting conversation brought to you by Bishop Omar and the network. And as Brother Amir said, it's a lot of important individuals that are coming together to say, how can we find solutions to the issues that's facing our urban community? So that make sure you're there. Make sure you tune in. And thank you, brother, for having us on this show.
Man, we appreciate you too, brother.
We appreciate you all coming and appreciate the work that you are doing. Luna, I wanted to get into some of the service level things, right? I told you at the top of the show that what y'all was doing with Bad Boy was hugely influential. I was a big fan at that time, so I wanted to touch on a little bit of that, but maybe we catch up on that another time,
inshallah. But right now I just want to say I truly appreciate y'all giving me the platform and the opportunity to actually speak about something that's way more relevant.
Oh, way more
in this
relevant.
current time right now than my previous career,
Teach, brother.
and Craig's previous career. Because we're here now. This is what we're talking about.
It would have been real
This is
easy.
what's
It would have
going
been
on
real
right
easy
now.
to talk about,
and on a whole other level, though, I
Homeworld.
appreciate you being able to have that kind of a conversation.
That's
Yes,
right.
and I
for
appreciate
real, brother.
y'all. You know what I'm saying? So I want to say, to anybody that's listening, if you can, make your way, to the Heal America Summit and try to benefit and try to contribute and try to find where your place is in this movement.
That's right.
Even if it's not on the panel tonight, it may be the next panel. It may be the next state, next city, or whatever the case may be. But these type of conversations are necessary in order to get to a place where the action that follows.
That's right.
Because without this conversation, you can't have an action. You can't follow through unless you have dialogue that's contingent upon why we're moving.
There you go.
Because if we don't know why we're moving, then we're in each other's way.
Yep.
Well, we're gonna continue. We certainly gonna continue to have the conversation here, so we can try and get everybody on the same page for how we go about moving. A lot of times people say, "Oh, y'all preaching to the choir." I think sometimes it's important to preach to the choir. The choir got to be on the same page so that we can take one message out to the rest of the congregation.
So that means you're gonna have a gun when I come back. Legally.
The camera's on.
Legally.
So I got a FOIA card. I don't
Legally.
have a concealed carry card. I got a firearm owner's identification card.
Why didn't you say that in the first place?
Because you asked me if I had a concealed carry, and I always leave my house.
You knew
prepared.
what I meant. I can't carry one. I'm jealous.
Well, don't be jealous, man. Listen, another time. All right? Look, promise you'll come back and chop it up with us, man, as things continue to develop, and not only socially but culturally as well, man. We appreciate you. Thanks for your contributions, not only to the culture but to the
keep
people.
it up.
I appreciate it.
Keep it up, brotherhood.
Get a picture with y'all, bro.
Absolutely, man. Can we get a break? We're in the middle of a show. Y'all really come in like y'all just running this shit. I love it. I love it. Listen, we got to take a break. When we come back from break, we will still be joined live in studio by Kirk Hutchins. I want to get into some conversations with you about the impact of guys like Colin Kaepernick, Eric Reed today, what those things look like as opposed to what it looked like for you and Mahmoud Raouf. I'm sorry. When we come back from the break, we'll have that conversation and more. This is I Said What I Said. Tucson Warner, Herb Howard here with you for about another 30 minutes. We'll be right back.
WIFTBPM.
When you need vibrant, colorful gear that offers high-performance material that keeps you cool, call Agent Huff Custom Gear. Let us take your expressions and create something new for your everyday wear, your bedroom or bath. For all your needs, we offer custom sublimation, silkscreen, vinyl, and embroidery. You can reach us on all things social at Superhero Huff. www.superherohuff.com or 630-476-9191.
Funeral expenses are costly. The Casket Store wants to help you save hundreds of dollars. You do not have to purchase a casket from the funeral home. Call now for a free in-home consultation. Call 773-445-6900. 773-445-6900.
Hey y'all, this is Salim Muwakil from Muwakil's World. In case you missed the last discussion, this is what you missed.
There was a time when there was a large-scale mythology that African people had no endurance. We were only good for sprinting. Right. And that was our forte. Other than that, we were useless in marathon races. Establishing your patrimony on the land. If you bury the dead, that means that this land is forever in your family.
Who are our ancestors, really? We are the living ancestors to a whole genealogical line going back hundreds of thousands, millions of years that we carry within us living today. Everyone who preceded us. Mm-hmm. However, that conception took place, whether it was violently, with rape, or whatever the case, but we are them living today.
That's why it's important to understand our capacity, man. Our capacity is unlimited. We have unlimited potential.
Absolutely.
So make sure you tune in Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11 to 1 p.m. on What's in It for the Black People Media.
I was going to ask you, so growing up, did you ever have an old racist family in your neighborhood? Did you have one live next to you or one down the street? Just somebody's house that you know on the block, you didn't want to go nowhere near that house. The neighbor who was directly behind us had a real problem coming outside seeing my white mother and my black father.
We got us the gun line.
This dude built an 8-foot fence, more like 10 foot.
They put up the Huck Finn joint.
Exactly. That shit looked like a castle. My dad, he's a big guy, football player guy. My dad guy who walks over there.
Old school
and then
black.
He's like, I don't appreciate these apples in my yard. He's like, motherfucker, we don't even have an apple tree. These are your apples.
Do you like apples?
Your kids are throwing apples over here. Okay, there's that little space, but there's still a fence. So they're right there looking at each other.
Tell them about the gun line, boss.
And I said something like, yeah, Dad. And that dude said, shut up, you little monkey. Leroy stuck his head over the fence. You're gonna die, clown! Grabbed dude by the neck.
Run.
and proceeded to pull him halfway over this thick, like, finish him. Mrs. Wheeler comes running out. Oh, Leroy, don't do that. It's not worth it. Blah, blah, blah. My dad was getting ready to kill this dude. And within 6 months, that guy moved away.
Don't cross the gun line, boss.
Right, the gun line, boss.
Chicago Famous, 3 to 6, Monday through Friday, right here on What's in It for the Black People Media.
What's up, good people? If you didn't tune in to the last I Said What I Said, here's what you missed. Special thanks to Love McPherson.
And when you talk about object sex, you and objectifying that woman, you glorify pieces of her. And let me tell you something. If you think that doesn't matter, it does. And I'm going to tell you why it matters. I looked at a video and I was looking at these young boys, these teenagers, and they were like, do you like black women or white women? I like white women. I like white women. And first I felt some kind of way. Then you know what happened to me? I started listening to them and they said, why did you like the white women? Because they'll do anything for you. Yeah, the white hoes.
Bitch, you is a hoe. Bitch, you is a hoe.
And I thought pornography has elevated what the white woman will do for you, the objectifying of her. And this is why we don't realize, even in our spaces, the black man is shut down because he doesn't know the power of his seed like the white man knows the power of his seed.
Oh, look. Just like milk.
He doesn't realize that you sit up there coming into my neighborhood, objectifying my white women because you say they do it better than your women is a problem. They don't do it to them, but they won't bring that out, and they will not allow you to do that to their women.
I said what I said. Herb and 2, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right here on What's in It for the Black People Media.
Today's world requires first-hand knowledge of real international working. As a successful international businessman, I have achieved many goals and made many business friends abroad. International business can rebuild the middle class by creating the infrastructure to support small businesses through economic development funds and international expansion. I'm Dr. Willie Wilson. Vote for me. Send me to Washington. God bless.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for Senate 2020.
WIFTBPN.
Live from What's in It for the Black Media Studio. You're listening to I Said What I Said.
Wait, what did you say?
I said you're listening to I Said What I Said.
I just said that.
I know you just said that.
That's what I just said.
That's what I'm saying to you.
Exactly what he just said.
With Herb Howard and Toussaint Werner.
That's about one of the nicest things you've ever said.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
And we are back. We are live from the What's in It for the Black People Media Studios. This is I Said What I Said. Herb Howard, Toussaint Werner here with you for about another 20 minutes or so. Just bid farewell to Brother Amir, formerly known as Loon. He was a big artist, big time hip hop superstar with Bad Boy, late 90s, early 2000s. Went through a great stage of transition where he found Allah and really took his studies seriously. But then at the same time, he was incarcerated on federal drug charges that landed him behind bars for some 9 years. He is recently returning home and trying to do his part to alleviate many of the ills that we see in our community. So it was real good to catch up with that brother while we were simultaneously catching up with Chicago legend, two-time NBA champion with the Chicago Bulls, but as I said at the top of the show, more importantly, a man who was willing to sacrifice his own earning potential and put his own skin in the game for a cause that he deemed to be greater than basketball, which was that of raising awareness to racial injustice and social injustice in this country. His name is Craig Hodges, and we are absolutely thrilled to be joined live in studio by him still.
Big fun, brother.
Appreciate you so very, very, very much. Listen, let me get a couple of small points out the way. First of all, top 5 shooters of all time.
Larry Bird, Dale Ellis.
I forgot about that. I ain't forget about him, but I wouldn't have him in my top 5. I dig it.
Ray Allen.
Sure. Don't be scared to say it. I see it on the tip of your tongue.
I don't know, man. Steph for sure. Steph is in there.
Yeah, Steph is top 5.
Yeah. And I'm sure Craig Hodges is in.
Craig Hodges. That's what I'm waiting on.
One of the spots.
That's what I'm waiting on.
But it's so funny, man, when the comparisons are made like that. It's fun to be in the mix of it. You know, to even be able to be part of the conversation. But for me, it's one of those things where at one point in time, I know I feel like from 1989 to probably like 1993, nobody on earth shot it any better than me.
That's a fact.
You know, so It's one of those things. You go through your time and you do what you do when you do it. So it's a good thing.
Love it.
So, basketball has become. It's not even become, but it's an industry, and it's getting younger and younger and younger, right? So I got a young athlete at the house. My son's a basketball standout at the 8th grade level.
Okay.
Just 8th grade, right?
Got you.
And I played when I was young too, but it's very interesting to see how the dynamic has shifted drastically, right? Mm-hmm. I find him every day watching YouTube or Instagram, and man, Daddy, this boy is ranked. This dude is ranked here. This dude is ranked here. This dude is ranked here. And it's a lot of money being generated around kids that are 13, 14 years old, right? Yes. And it's becoming a greater struggle because I got to be honest, right? I talk a lot about capitalism, but we're here.
There you are.
Right? And in this system, you still got to be able to manipulate or manage it in a way that it best suits you, right? So when I look at ball specifically for my son, I say to myself, this is an opportunity for him to get a free education if nothing else.
Right.
I can write that ticket right now with my son.
Got you.
I know I can get him to this level. But then it backfires on me because when I want to discipline him, the one thing I want to do is take away ball. Right? But because it's a kind of a system and a business at this point, if I take away ball, he can lose his standing, which is ultimately going to offer the opportunity for him to get an education.
Right.
Right, so it's become a constant struggle in my house, like how to manage this.
Got you.
Do I not allow him to play AAU, or do I allow him to go to this school, or do? It's really getting ridiculous, but it goes back to the same point I made, and it's hard. It's to the point Loon might have said about getting out the box.
Right, and the funny part, like I look at this generation, I'm so glad I played when I played because there's so many distractions right now. The distractions of where you're ranking. And I'm like, I got a young brother that I've been training since he was 9 years old. He goes to Marion High School. He's going to be a sophomore. And the thing I did with him was telling him that when you're 9, we're just getting you started, brother. And that the most important game for you right now is the last game of your senior year. So anything in between that, just chalk it up to experience and understand that right now, especially with this COVID thing going on, the main thing that I'm like this evening, I'll be out in Lansing working with some young brothers and sisters on their game. And my thing right now is we're working on straight up conditioning. I want you to be in as good a condition as you can be. So we'll be in the gym for an hour and 20 minutes tonight. 40 minutes of be conditioning. The other part will be skill training. So my thing is we don't know when the curtain is going to be lifted on this thing, but you have to make sure that you're in shape. You have to make sure that your skill levels are where they need to be. I'm not really concerned so much about the scrimmage situation right now. I want you to be working on your weaknesses. And I think that's one of the things that, like you said, there's so much money in youth sports, whether it be soccer clubs or baseball clubs or whatever. All of those situations have made it to where young people see their potential. So you have your young son along with all these other young brothers and sisters wanting to see, man, I can go on Instagram and I see so-and-so is ranked number 20 in the country. I beat it. I was in this stuff last summer.
Right.
So it's a whole lot of dynamics that I'm so glad that I didn't grow up in. But you have to manage it to a point where I would tell you as a parent, I played from 8 years old until I was 32. And it's so many games you have in your body. And the way the AAU is run, I feel like, okay, if we have a practice game where there's no referee, no uniforms, that's not a game, that's practice. But once you put that uniform on and a referee is out there, popcorn is popping, that takes a whole nother dynamic in your body. So I want young people to have the majority of their games between 17 and 27 as opposed to having them games where you didn't play. Like my sons, when they were high school age, I told them, look here, man, you got 30 AAU games this summer. That's it. That's all. You pick them. You can pick them whether it's early or whether it's at the AAU national tournaments or whatever. But the majority of your play this summer is going to be with your high school team because that's where your memory is going to be. That's the people who you're going to have to make it work for when it comes to you getting a scholarship. To where now it's almost – you can almost just be on the reverse. You can just be on the AAU team and don't even play for a high school team.
They don't recruit out of high school.
You know what I'm saying?
Recruit out of AAU.
Man, so right. it's and the exploitation. I love the game from a purity standpoint of it. So when I see a lot of stuff that's going on AAU wise, I'm not really with because it's so much exploitation of young people. and the coaches are making money off of it. That, you know, you have so many programs where it's all about dollars and numbers, as opposed to making sure these children are better basketball players and understanding, you know, what is meant by being a student athlete.
So I formulated that question on purpose, right? Because
Mhm.
and it goes back to the conversation we've been having all
Mhm.
day, partially about gumption, about masculinity, right? And some of the lessons you just learned. And like I said, I was big into basketball and another shorty too. And it's just certain lessons you learn in the neighborhood, on the court.
With the older guys.
That's right.
And see, that's a lot that's not going on.
But that's kind of my point, right?
Yeah,
One of the things with my
yeah.
son, from an athletic standpoint, my son is better than I would have ever considered being,
Gotcha.
right? But from a mental standpoint, I tell my son this all the time. I said, you'd have never beat me.
Because you ain't tough enough.
You'd have never beat me.
And see, so much now, like I look at it, is you have young guys who not going to the gym unless they with their trainer. You know what I'm saying? Well, if you going to YMCA or fitness Formula Fitness or whatever, and it's a gym there, go play with the older guys. Go get beat up a little bit. See where you at.
Right.
So it's a whole different dynamic where I feel like I said, I feel so blessed that I'll go to the park and you had to work your way up to the first court with the older guys, and then once they saw you could play a little bit, you can be on the team, but don't expect to shoot. Just play defense and run around.
Yeah.
And those are lessons that I learned even from just the sheer physicality of it, man, where a lot of these young folks, they think they're a lot better than they are. And that, like, I go in the gym. I was in the gym with a young kid. They say he's supposed to be going to Michigan or whatever. He's going to be a junior. So, white kid. So I'm talking to him, and he's go to the free throw line, and I'm telling him to set his feet. He's setting sideways. I'm telling him to set his feet straight. And he tells me, and I start laughing. He's like, man, you fucking on my game. Me. And I looked at his mom. I called her over. I said,
What you shoot from the line, like 90%?
I say, come on, dude. This is what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is simple. It's simple, man. But the fact that you said that's funny to me but this young generation, man, they have had, like us, when I was coming out of high school, 1978 to 1978, the only way we could get on TV was to go downstate.
Right.
Where now you have children going home after the game to watch themselves on cable TV.
Yeah.
And then you're on YouTube and everything else. So I'm like, so much improvement has to go on outside of what you actually seeing. So the improvement is when you're in that gym by yourself for 2 hours.
I think their validation at this time comes from these outside places, right? Their validation doesn't come from my high school head coach or my dad or this coach. It comes from all of these other sources, all of these other people. Oh, it's a scout in such and such. There's somebody who has a blog in such and such. Fuck his blog, right?
Exactly.
He don't know shit,
man,
right?
Man.
But the kids, they see that, and that's what they put validation in. But it's how they live their lives,
That's
right?
it,
Even whether they're athletes or not, it's how they kind of find value in themselves. What do other people think about me? How many likes do I have on this particular photograph?
And that is
did you like what you put on this morning or not?
Yeah.
And you like when you put it on?
We associate that the kids. I'm leading us somewhere in a lot of ways.
Okay, my bad.
We associate that to kids, but in essence, what it really speaks to is how media controls the minds of all people.
Of man, and the miseducation of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
So right.
It's real.
So he's ranked at XYZ. It don't mean he's anything.
Man, so like,
which goes back to gumption. And mattering, but that's a learned progression.
Yeah, and
right?
and it's something like you say, you think about just that takes a lot of, falling down, getting back up, Oh, I got it this time. Getting knocked down again, thinking you got it. It's a
Once you get hit in the mouth, you realize, well, I can do this again.
Man,
You said all that back.
That's
man,
it. That's
you know
it.
what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the biggest things that this generation needs to, we look, and I'm looking at young brothers, they tatted up and all of this, but now when we get under the basket and jostle for position, it ain't no, where is it?
It's soft as shit.
Super soft.
I'm like, where is it at?
Yeah.
Where's the
It's soft.
resistance?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of bravado going on, but it's false, and it's false to the point where it's just, I have the trappings of being tough, but when it comes down to mental toughness to make it to that next day, it's tough, man.
Which brings up a larger conversation, which we always talk about in regards to just living in our truth, in our masculine energy. Mm-hmm. Right, and what's that mean? And what's that look like? Because it's being reconditioned,
man, and totally to the point where it's like it's so. When we were talking about earlier with the brother sagging, I'm like, man, what is the reality? What is in your mind that you're seeing on a daily basis? What are you not seeing on a daily basis to make you this is your model, and this is how I'm rolling. When I'm like, man, we got a lot of work. We have a lot of work to do as the older generation.
As leaders, right?
Man, you know, like my brother was talking. He said, man, my grandma, we in the store, young brother sagging. I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to go up and holler at this brother. Now I don't know how it's gonna jump off, how he gonna take it, but I can't have my grandmama back here looking at your drawers and she feeling uncomfortable about this.
Right.
So it has to be a thing where it's a certain amount of teaching that has to go on, and I think our generation kind of dropped the ball because we went after the trinkets of success. Nice house, nice car, nice this. Well, I'll get you an iPad, I'll get you a telephone, I'll get you this, but I'm not giving you what you really need from an end of finding out who you are. I was blessed to find my passion early, man. My aunts taught me how to read and write before I went to school. So that was always fun to me.
Craig, we've been having these conversations, Tucson and I, for years now with a multitude of people, right? Multi-generational. And for me, this may be the first time I've heard someone from your generation say, unprompted, yeah, we might have dropped the ball on them a little bit.
No question,
right?
man.
We might have been focused on some areas that weren't necessarily conducive to their best interests.
I feel like our generation is perhaps the most selfish, self-centered. I'm not going to say so much selfish, but self-centered. That we want to have so bad, and I think a lot of it is maybe our parents too. That our parents were that type where, you know, especially my mom being one of the part of the movement in the '60s, wanted to see us get things and do things that they weren't able to do. And that was good to a degree. And every generation, you know, we want to see the next generation go further. But at what cost? Yeah, and what sacrifice am I willing to make to make sure that I'm a stepping stone, that I'm not going to be a gate, that I got mine and boom, I'm dead and I'm not doing anything. No, man, we got to leave. We have to leave stepping stones and, you know, ways of progress that this next generation can see that we actually fought for it. We won, and that's one of the things that we talk about now is that we're in a sense of victory. But the cool part about it is that don't nobody know what it looked like because we ain't never had it before. So me, we don't know what it's like to have a nice meal, a nice steak dinner in freedom, you know, roll down the street in freedom with our son and not have to worry about nothing. And, you know, so it's a different mindset, man.
Sure. But I think it looks like being whole internally, not externally.
Man.
Right?
Yes.
So even in the sense where you like, we the most selfish generation, like we get this and that, we get the iPad, that third, those are all external trinkets.
Exactly.
And I think we still are on that wavelength. You talked about current and frequencies, right? We're still on that wavelength. You hear in our community all the time people talking about building generational wealth. Now the truth is y'all ain't got no money, but you talk about it, right? But don't nobody talk about internal healing,
man. And I
right?
think no
so
question.
the things that we value, right, are external when they should be internal.
No question about it. It's similar to what Brother Amir was talking about, man, the knowledge, you know, and being able to get the education to be able to sustain yourself to where you know I can come out of this. And that's one of the things that I'm asking people to consider during this whole lockdown thing is how can you come out of it with a whole new paradigm of where you're going? So if you were a nurse, can you come out now and be a consultant to health and wellness? Is it some way where we can start to define our own realities in a way that it can create? And one thing when you talk about generational wealth, I look at, you know, when we look at the wealthy larger population, whether it be the Bill Gateses, the Bezos, and them cats, they partner with other people. You know, and that's one of the things that it's hard for us to do oftentimes is to partner with one another before we start counting the dollars, you know, and that if we can, you know, with the Heal America, that great concept, man. How can we, that's what we talk about, how can we build this thing to where we know, I know where Tassan is at, I know where you at, and I know what you bring into the table, so I can tell a brother, yo, he got that over there, go holler at him.
Exactly.
And we have that where it's a sounding board where we can see on the board, okay, Colin is over there, MJ is over there, Jay-Z is over there, Beyonce is over there. I can go and holler at them because they, and you know, it's going to happen, man. I feel like it's going to happen. It's just a matter of it ain't got to be a whole lot of us. It's just got to be a solid collective, man.
I think that's right. Those of us, I say it all the time. I tend to break down our, you know, entire community into three different segments, and I say you have people who are aware that there are some problems and actively engaged in overcoming those issues. You have a second group that is aware that there are some problems, but they feel hopeless to do anything about them, and so they aren't really engaged. And then you have a third segment that is completely and sincerely ignorant, right? And I don't mean that with any negative connotation. They genuinely don't know there's some shit going on. They're just moving through society. Right? They're just trying to survive, right? And so I think that the onus is on those of us who are aware and engaged, right, to then come together, unify, and start to stack some victories. If we can do that, it'll build some momentum, and that'll make it more likely for that second group who is aware but unengaged because they feel hopeless to say, oh, maybe it's not as hopeless as I thought. Maybe I can get into it. And once those two groups are in unison and getting some things done, then maybe we can figure out a way to go at that third segment. But and maybe not, right? Everybody might not be able to go, but we still got to get moving.
You know, like when we walked into today, man, how powerful that was. Just to
walk in and see all those brothers,
man, and to know that it ain't no
it was on positivity,
ain't no madness going on, and that how many places in America is that happening today? You know what I'm saying? That it may be a couple, but we talk about how important Chicago is to the entirety of this whole thing. So when I walked in there,
it's Black Mecca all the time.
So we telling people when I'm hearing brothers from New York, man, come on, man, this
Chicago, and to have all those brothers here from different but similar backgrounds, right? With the common purpose in a black owned media network, right? Trying to get our message out to our people. I think that's powerful. And it's potential there that we must tap into.
To me, those are victories.
They have to be.
You know what I mean? Those are victories. So I tell my people, man, August, that 1619 project, even though we go back 1555, but 1619, hey, 400 years was up in August. So why? Now we have to move as though we have to move in a victorious manner.
I want to ask you one question. Having went out on that ledge as you did, use your platform for the greater good of black people, but then not being fully supported in that way, was there ever a moment where it's like, man, fuck y'all? Like I put myself out here for y'all, and y'all didn't rock with us, right? Nah, was there ever a moment like that?
No, but for my sons. My sons, you feel me? That my oldest boy, he's like, Dad, that was courageous, man, but fuck that, man.
Right.
You feel me? He's like, he say, but I can see it from you because your models was Nana, my mom.
Sure.
My grandfather was a union organizer, Dr. King, Malcolm. He's like, them was your images.
Yeah.
So I can see that with you, Dad, but fuck black people. Where I'm concerned, I'm with Jay-Z. I'm getting my bread.
Exactly.
And I can't get mad at that.
Because from the way you played the game, I mean, you could have played the game for 30 years.
Come on, man.
Right? I'm line to line.
So this is why I do get bad at that, though, right? Yeah. So, because what does bread really represent? It really represents security.
There you go.
Right? But there's no fucking such thing as security.
In America.
Right?
Not for us.
When the wind decides to blow hard enough to blow your goddamn house down, the amount of money in the bank don't matter. When the earth decides to crack apart, the amount of money you have in the bank don't matter.
Wildfires burning down mansions.
There's no such security is a false ideology. It's not real.
There you go.
It's not real.
Yeah, man.
Right? But that's what we are being sold on daily.
Which
goes back to masculinity, which goes back to gumption, and which goes back to being willing to take the risk.
That's it.
Whatever the risk is. Even when you think about wealth from the umbrella concept, it's freedom and security. Well, what's the difference between a homeless person and Jeff Bezos? Because they do the same shit.
Man.
Whatever the fuck they want
to do. Man.
That freedom.
That's the whole thing is that, you look at it,
that's good shit too.
Man, it's real deal.
Yeah.
That when you stop and look at it on that level, man,
very few people can wake up and do whatever the fuck they feel like it. And it's the Jeff Bezos level, and it's the I sleep under the bridge level. Like everybody else, you got somewhere to be when somebody else say so.
And so that you can get that paycheck. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying?
That's great too.
Real deal. And that's so cold, man. And that when we get to it on just that gut check level, then we be able to see, yeah, man, I got a choice to make. And I think that's the biggest thing is that when we won the championship in 1991, I thought we were going to the White House right after we won in June.
Mm-hmm.
So the sister by the name of Neva, sister from Chicago, she was in LA. She made my garment for me. So she had it ready for me at the hotel right after the game.
Mm-hmm.
So we all on the same floor. So I go upstairs, put on my dashiki, come out in the hallway. Brothers, this is how we going to the White House.
Right.
Man, them brothers, nah, that's you. That's you. And I'm like, man, if we all went like this, it'd be a whole nother thing.
Huge statement. Then you fast forward to 2020 and you get to a space where You get the speakers and all these other elected officials dressed in African garb and kente cloth in the state capitol building. That was some bullshit to see. Listen, we are out of time. I want to thank each and every one of you all for tuning in. Thank you all so very, very much. I know we didn't get to interact with y'all as much as we like to. I feel like I kind of missed out on y'all because we always chopping it up with the people that tune in to us, and we didn't get a chance to do that. We had a lot going on in the studio today, so I'll be going back through the show later on tonight so I can interact with you guys that way. But Craig Hodges, I want to say thank you so very much, brother, for taking the time.
Brother, I thank y'all for putting out this platform for us, man. It's important and it's critical to our development going forward. And to everybody out there, be peaceful. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water.
Listen, the doors are always open for you anytime you want to come, but please promise that you'll come back when we get a chance to call you again.
Done deal. Just let me know.
Man, appreciate it.
Appreciate you, brothers. Peace.
For Toussaint Warner and for producer handling all the business behind the glass back there, Ron Rilla, we appreciate you, brother. My name is Herb Howard. Coming up next, Chicago famous Mike Love and Diz every weekday from 3 till 6. Until next time, we'll see y'all Friday at 1 p.m. Till then, y'all be good. Peace.